and Bill O'Reilly. That's his name. How's it going, everybody? This is uSTADIUM Live. We are breaking down the NFL All-Pro teams. There's some good ones. There's some bad ones. Frankie, how's it going?
How you doing, my man? I'm in Miami currently, so
Nice.
Splash gets me from going out to get some margaritas to coming on this stream to talking some higgidy-bibbidy nonsense about what Splash thinks should be the All-Pro team. Listen, I can't wait to argue this one. How Joe Burrow deserves to be a big bad Joe Burrow who's going to lose tomorrow. Are they playing on Saturday, right?
Yeah, they play tomorrow at 4.
Yeah. Joe Burrow's taking the big L. So I'm just throwing that out there. I'm going to be bashing Joe Burrow this entire show, by the way.
Feel free. He would have been on my third team. I had Rodgers, Brady.
Oh, okay.
Burrow. Yeah.
All right.
I do.
I'm glad we agree there.
I read a little article series, and I do a gold, a silver, and a bronze all splash team. So that's what I'm basing my opinions off today, because there are some really bad picks. There's a lot of good. There's some bad. There are some bad. Frankie, why don't you start us off? Who do you think is the biggest snub from this team?
All right, so Rodgers, got to go with Aaron. You can make an argument for Brady, but I'll go with Aaron for this one. I think they played winning football all year, so I'm going with Aaron. Taylor, obviously unanimous, which I'm going to go on a rant about the fact that they didn't have a second team running back. That's absurd, but we'll go into that later. Cooper Kupp, I mean, we haven't had a better season at the position since Calvin, or Brandy Moss in 2007. So that's for sure. Davante Adams, agree. Deebo Samuel, big Deebo fan, but I will say, Splash, I do agree with you on this. I do think Justin Jefferson deserved to be first team there. So
agree.
I would have given Justin Jefferson the nod for first team. However, there is an argument to be made with Deebo, because Deebo was the most important player on that 49ers offense, and they are in the playoffs, and you can't say the same thing about the Minnesota Vikings. So I will say Deebo. If I had to say, I'm fine with it. But I think the biggest snub, I just think tackle. I don't know. Was Trent Williams? I mean, was he?
Slow down. Yes, he was the best. He was the best player.
Not Joel. Excuse me. Joel, I don't think deserved to be.
Bitonio? Wait, whoa. You don't think Bitonio deserves to be all-pro?
Not first team.
What? Frankie, okay. Let me just put into perspective.
I'm going to pop up right now the guards.
Pop up PFF. Pop up his 92-something grade. Pop up. He was the best left guard. He was the best guard this season. He and Martin were unreal. Bitonio made 8 of my he was so good. He made 7.
Trent Williams was like a 90. Trent Williams. He was a 90.
Yeah. Trent's fine. Bitonio was awesome this year. He made my all-splash team every week. He made it 7 times at left guard. He made it once at left tackle. He turned, and then there's like 4 other weeks that he had like a 90 grade that I didn't even give it to him because he allowed a sack or a hit or something. He was sensational. He's one of the.
There's one better. There's Zack Martin.
He plays right guard. They're both here.
Oh, Zack Martin's on there. I mean, Zack Martin. Left guard, I'm looking here. I guess maybe Shaq Mason play left or right?
He plays right.
I think he plays left.
No, he plays right because Tooney played left when he was in New England. So
that's
Mason
right.
Plays right.
Mason plays right.
So I don't think there's any argument with Bitonio and Martin. I think they're locked in. That's 2 of the easiest picks. Kelce, I have an issue with.
You know what?
I think Crete Humphrey got first off robbed of being a Pro Bowler, and they do 2 AFC Pro Bowlers. He was robbed of being on the first team, and then he was robbed of being on the second team. They chose Corey Linsley. I don't know what these NFL voters have against Crete Humphrey. I don't get it. He was sensational. He was one of the best run blockers in the NFL this season, the best run blocker at the position, and he's the top 2 or top 3 pass protector. Did all of this as a rookie, did all of this for the number 2 seed Kansas City Chiefs. Like Jason, okay, Kelce, cool. Missed a little bit of time there. He only played 1 snap week 18, not really missing time, but he played 1 snap in week 18. So that's really 16 games masquerading as 17. Then I don't know, Corey Linsley, I don't know what the heck. Linsley's good, Kelce's good, but Humphrey was a step ahead this year.
Yeah, no, he's been one of the best rookies out of that class. I mean, he's been incredible. By the way, I'm just seeing this list for the first time, so I'm trying to go through this. I did not know until I just looked at Joel's PFF grades and whatnot. I did not know he had a year like that. I thought he had a year like that last year.
Man.
I didn't realize how good he was, so I was wrong about that.
He's been.
I would have put Zack Martin there, but Zack Martin playing right guard now, so I was wrong about that. So yeah, we have that on defense. Just taking a quick glance, but again, this is the first time I'm looking at this. So
yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm pretty good on the defensive side. I think I don't know. I'm sure there's an argument to be made with safety. I mean, is there anything there that
I think Jordan Poyer is a pretty weak. I think safety 2 was a weak spot as a whole. In my team, I had Javon Holland, but there's like 7 guys that were like pretty good. Antoine Winfield, Marcus Williams, either the other Buffalo safety, Micah Hyde. So I think Byard was a slam dunk, easy pick. And then safety 2 was always going to be one of the weaker spots of the team. Because at least at other positions, say edge, right? You can choose Robert Quinn, who had an awesome year. You can choose Myles Garrett. You can choose Max Crosby, who had an awesome year. And he would have been my pick over. You can take either Bosa brother. You can take Trey Hendrickson. There's like 8 or 9 guys that had all pro caliber edge seasons, but I only thought there was one all pro safety this year, Byard, and then just whoever the second is just gets kind of a lucky all pro spot this year.
Let's throw the safeties up then here. We have Kevin Byard is the number 1 safety, so they had him as the first all pro. Then they had Antoine Winfield Jr.
Yeah, he was great. He missed a little bit of time. He was great. I thought Javon Holland, he would have been on mine. He was my second safety. Micah Hyde was very good. Adrian Phillips was very good. Marcus Williams was my second teamer. Derwin, super popular player. Jordan Poyer. Yeah,
Micah Hyde's good, man. Micah Hyde, did he make second team?
I do not believe so. I think it was Simmons.
Let's throw up this second team really quick, just so we get that.
It was Simmons, and there was a tie. It was like Simmons, Buddha, and might have been Hyde.
Let's throw up the second team over here.
Because I don't think Simmons was all right.
Second team all pros. Then we'll get into some of the snubs. What do we got over here? All right, second team all pros. All right, Tom Brady. I don't think there's an argument to be made there. Running back vacant running back. As I said,
I can explain this. So Nene had a question about it. Did no other running backs get votes? So the way the all pro team is formatted.
I have the explanation, Splash.
Go ahead.
President Joe Biden was the one that voted for the second team running backs. So that's your explanation.
Okay.
I love Joe.
So with the way the all pro team is constructed, they have 50 votes. So 50 sports writers make a vote. So they pick, Tom Brady and Jonathan Taylor and so on and so forth. They get to pick for each position, right? So they get 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 3 wide receivers. So when you have a position like running back or quarterback or tight end that only has 1 slot, if someone is unanimous at that spot, they get all 50 votes. There's no votes left over to choose a second player. Look at last year, Kelce was a unanimous selection at tight end. So Darren Waller wasn't on the second team. Yeah. So there was no second team. And I know you have a problem with this, but a couple years ago, 2019, the funniest thing happened that McCaffrey was the running back 1 and flex 1. Derrick Henry was the running back 2 and flex 2. So I think it's better now, but I do think it's a little weird to just have it vacant.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know why they don't allow for at least 2 picks. So you do your first vote and then you do a second vote. If there was a second running back, who would you select?
I would have picked Joe Mixon.
As your second running back over Jonathan Taylor? I mean, after Jonathan Taylor, you pick Mixon.
Yeah, I would do Taylor, Mixon, Eckler 3, Chubb 4.
Interesting. I'm looking at it right now.
All of them had very good seasons. I think if Taylor didn't have,
there wasn't a clear second running back this year either. It was a little bit up in
Mixon
the air.
had 16 touchdowns, over 1,500 yards. Eckler scored 20 touchdowns, which is insane. He missed a little bit of time. And then Chubb was averaging over 100 yards from scrimmage per game. Only had the 9 touchdowns, but all of them had very good seasons. All of them were, I think one of them ended up being a Pro Bowl snub. But I mean, you could throw in
You know
Cordell
who would be
Patterson
in
had
that?
a very nice season.
You know a couple Cordell Patterson, but you know who else could be in that conversation? Believe it or not, it sounds crazy because he played only 8 games, but Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
you could put Derrick Henry as your second team All-Pro. I mean,
Yeah.
he's still top 10 in rushing this year.
Yep.
The guy
937
was
yards in
incredible.
8 games. He hasn't played since Halloween, and he still is a better running back than most others.
Yeah.
So that was
some other running backs
strange.
you could put in that conversation. You could put Najee Harris. He had 1,200 yards
Yeah.
this year. I mean, if it wasn't
James
for him,
Conner
you could
had
make an argument.
16 touchdowns, 18 touchdowns.
Connor was good this year, man. I mean, the Steelers must – I mean, not that they're kicking themselves now with Najee there, but I mean, like, he looks like a different player, James Conner. I mean, he's got just burst and speed right now.
You can kind of nitpick and say, oh, well, he's with Kyler and he's had a couple like huge touchdown games. Like, okay, I get that. But at the end of the day, he was uber productive this season. So he's I don't know. I wouldn't choose him as my number 2 running back, but I wouldn't like fault you if you did.
Yeah. All right, Splash, let's go through these right now. So we have Travis Kelce, tight end. You agree there, I assume?
Yeah, tight end too.
Yep, obviously. Yeah, for sure. Andrews, I mean, he's not as good as Chris Herndon, but he's getting there. He's working his way to the coldest take of all time.
That's up there with your Damian Lillard one, and also that's up there with your Aaron
Lillard alone. He's out for the year. Give me a break.
Yeah. That's up there with your Aaron Rodgers wouldn't play again with Green Bay.
Yeah, no,
still owe me a jersey. You still owe me a jersey
for
that
way,
one.
Just on that conversation, we'll get back to it. And shout outs to Play Action Podcast. I know we threw something up there. We're going through this right now. Mm-hmm. Who do you guys think should have been added or removed from these teams? We went through the first team, and we really had nothing to be said really outside of safety. You could make some arguments there.
I do have an issue with Garrett over Crosby, but yeah, and Humphrey. Okay. Humphrey was C1.
Yeah. So that's something we discussed earlier. I thought Joel Bitonio shouldn't have been, but now looking at it, he probably should have.
He was awesome.
He had a
year. He moved. You remember the game they played against Vegas on Monday night, like the game that had to be moved and like played at 5:00?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So Bitonio played left tackle for the first time in his career, and he was like Trent Williams-esque, David Bakhtiari-esque, 2019 Ronnie Stanley. He was like perfect at left tackle the first time he's ever played that position in his entire career. And he's like immediately all-pro caliber at it. It was awesome to see.
You know what I would have considered for tight end too? I would have considered Kittle. I thought Kittle had a really good year. He played, he played 14 games. So he missed a few games. But if you look at, his yards per game, not far from Kelce's.
Right.
He had a better year blocking. Yeah, I had him in fantasy though, man. He had one freaking touchdown all year. I couldn't believe that.
Good point.
And I passed up on Mark Andrews. My dumbass again does that every year.
You can't do it. You can't do that.
I drafted Pitts after Andrews was picked, but what ended up happening was I drafted Lamar Jackson. If I knew later on in the draft Stafford would have been available, I would have drafted Andrews and I would have taken Stafford later. Yeah. But I should have taken Andrews, whatever. It's a long story.
I mean, Lamar's a fine pick. You got some unfortunate injury luck at the end of the season. Then he had the 6 picks in 2 weeks that just kind of derailed everything. Then he got injured for the last 4 games. So, but Andrews was sensational.
Yeah, he was. Broke
tight end triple crown
franchise record, right, for receiving yards.
Yeah, franchise record for receiving. I think second most in a season by a tight end. Led all tight ends in catches, yards, tied for touchdowns. Was number 1 in PFF grade.
We have now at left tackle the maybe best rookie of that class. I think he was maybe outside of Jamar, but he was incredible. Is Rashaan Slater. He is a monster. I don't know how many sacks he gave up this year, but I only think it was I think he gave up 1 sack all year.
Yeah. Slater's fine. I like Slater. I would have taken Tyron Smith, but Smith missed some time. I get it. It's cool. I'm cool with Slater. You could go Whitworth as well. I'm cool with it.
Yeah. Rashaan Slater, now looking at this, he is low. Actually, gave up 4 sacks, so that was kind of surprising. But looking at some of the offensive linemen on this list here, I'm just getting you guys some PFF stats at the moment. So, we have Splash. What are you thinking about these offensive linemen on the second team? We just read them off. We had Left tackle, Rashaan Slater. Right tackle, Lane Johnson. Left guard, Quentin Nelson. Right guard, Wyatt Taylor. And then center, Corey Linsley. I know you wanted Crete Humphreys there at
Humphrey should have been all pro 1. Then Linsley or Kelce can be 2. That's fine with me. I don't mind Teller at 2. He would have been on my 3rd team. I had Shaq Mason on my 2nd team. And I think there's some room to love. Laken Tomlinson, he was very good with the Niners this season. Former 1st-round pick for the Lions.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of go back and forth if you want him as your 2nd team. Joe Tooney had a pretty solid year with Kansas City. Trey Smith at right guard had a nice season with Kansas City as well. There were Chris Lindstrom, Atlanta. Matt Hennessy, Atlanta. The center had a solid season. Do you like that it's 2 teams as opposed to 3 teams? Because I like how the NBA does like the All NBA 3rd.
I like 3 teams also. I like that. I think that gives some under the radar guys an opportunity, especially. But the thing is, you're not going to be able to have a 3rd team if you just have 1 vote for each player.
Right.
That's going to be difficult. I mean, you're going to have vacant spots in the 3rd team that I just not a big fan of. So, so right there we have the 2nd team. So snubs. Let's go through some snubs right now. You might want to pop that up really quick. I actually wasn't sharing that. Hold on. All right, Pro Bowl snubs. What do we got, Splash?
Well, I think first off, you have to start off with Crete Humphrey. I think he had the best season by any center this year. His team is in the playoffs. You saw it. He was playing in big-time games every couple weeks. You saw the Denver game on Sunday Night Football. You had the Denver game on Saturday in a primetime slot. You played against Baltimore in a primetime slot. Kansas City, Cincinnati was the game of the week. There's like a dozen games that you should have just seen. Oh, Crete Humphrey's the best center in the NFL, or second best behind our Lord and Savior Frank Ragnow. Ragnow is a beast, but he only played 4 games. And I believe Ragnow ended up 2nd in PFF grade because just how goofy the center position was this season. But Humphrey was consistently grading in the 90s. He had 5 or 6 games that he was center 1 or center 2. And I don't think Kelce matched that. I don't think Corey Linsley matched that. And you just have to, week in and week out, Humphrey was awesome. There was maybe 1 down week he had the entire season. And then every other week he's like 75, 80, 90, 90, 90, 90, 85, 90, 90, 90.
This is what people have said on uSTADIUM. By the way, shout outs to whoever posted this on uSTADIUM. Let's eat, baby. Check us out at uSTADIUM across the board. That's Twitter, Instagram, and get our app, uSTADIUM.com, for your web link. And then you could download the app through the bio pages on Twitter or Instagram. Just click link. All right, so J.C. Jackson should have been there over Ramsey. I don't know about that, bruh. I don't think that's true. I can go to PFF and kind of look at, but I don't know if that's true. Let's see where J.C. Jackson ranks.
I would go Terrell and Ramsey. I think. See, I don't hate Diggs being picked. I get that interceptions are important, but I don't know. I would prefer Terrell. I think Terrell had an excellent season, but he didn't have the interception numbers because he wasn't being targeted because his coverage was so good, right? So that's part of the not cherry picking, but Trevon Diggs would kind of bait quarterbacks, or he wouldn't be as good in coverage, and quarterbacks would say, "Oh, he's open," and then have a slightly poorly thrown ball, and Diggs picks it off. Diggs had an incredible season. Don't get me wrong, and he would have been on my 2nd team, but I would have gone with Terrell and Ramsey. They were 1 and 2 all year in grade. The coverage ability with Terrell, just throw on some Falcons games. It's disgusting. Trust me, I watched all 17 of their games. It was a lot of bad for the rest of the team, but Terrell was awesome. Terrell was awesome. That whole secondary played pretty well, considering it's JV and Hawkins and Eric Harris and AJ Terrell. And also, shout out to Thomas Graham up there.
Yeah, let's look at this list really quick. We have, and you can look at games here. So sometimes when I look at these lists, I want to see how many games have they played, because obviously you said Thomas Graham, but he played 4 games. So, you want to go Jalen Ramsey, 16 games.
Awuzie was very good this season.
Was awesome.
I wouldn't have any problem with him. Fenton was great.
Splash, by the way, how much? J.C. Jackson's up here. So in terms of guys that have played, he played, a significant amount of the season, and he's top, 3 or 5 in this rank. Splash, how much do you take what PFF does with these rankings in terms of your all pros? How much value do you give them?
I think there's a fair bit of value. It's not like the end all be all. Like I don't go through and say, oh, he was the best at this position, or he was the best at that position. Like, but I usually like to use their stats more. So Max Crosby, for example, had 101 pressures by PFF. I'm consistent, and it's like I'm going to use PFF pressures for everyone. I'm not going to pick and choose because I know Pro Football Reference has a different way of calculating. Next Gen Stats has a different way of calculating. So I think I would go with like Max Crosby, for example, as a guy that PFF helps me discover and say, hey, I'm going to watch Max Crosby this week. And he had
let's see the edge players right here.
He had 11
he was awesome
pressures.
this year. Max
Crosby
he had
11 pressures against the Chargers Sunday night. He had Next Gen Stats had credited him with 8 in the fourth quarter alone. Like that is unheard of. So
would you
Crosby,
have him now? Another snub that I've been seeing is Max Crosby over Nick Bosa. So you have the two guys here. You have Crosby, who PFF ranked out at a 91.5, and then you have Nick Bosa, who PFF ranked out at an 89.2. Splash, if you want to get the all-pro teams just like docked up on the bottom.
I can.
So, all right, this is how I kind of look at this. Now, we have Crosby had 101 tackles, which is crazy to have as a defensive lineman. I mean, that's elite. But, Bosa had 75, which is no slight there. Bosa had 16 sacks. Crosby had 10. Looking at pure numbers, Hurries 17 to 42. Batted, right? This is batted balls. Mm-hmm. Tackles. What is this TF? Oh, these are pressures. Excuse me. Max Crosby had 101 pressures, which is insane. Not tackles. That would have been crazy if he had 100 tackles. But did have 100 tackles as a DM though, or somewhere close. And you want to talk about a GOAT? Look up Reggie White. When people say Aaron Donald is the best defensive lineman of all time, that's BS. Reggie White is the best defensive lineman of all time. No argument said. Do you want me to bring up, by the way, I know I'm going on a tangent, but do you want me to bring up Reggie White's stats? Do you want to get your mind blown real quick?
Mean, he's on my all-time, he would be my all-time edge. Either he or LT is my all-time edge one.
Look at these stats. Reggie White had a year, he had 133 tackles as a freaking defensive end. 133, 123, 83, 100, 81, 98, 100. So when I saw 101, I'm like, Max Crosby, did he have 101 tackles? No, those are pressures. Sacks, 21, 18, 30. I mean, Reggie White is the best defensive lineman of all time.
I would kill to have pressure data for like Bruce Smith, LT, Reggie, Curse, friggin' Derek Thomas. Like that would be awesome.
So Nick's saying Crosby over Bosa is a crime. Nick, why do you really feel that way? Can we get some more intel there? Because we're looking at the numbers right now. All right, so we're going through some of the numbers, and it's pretty even for the most part. I mean, not to say numbers are everything, but you have Crosby has the pressures. Crosby has the tackles. Crosby has the hits. Bosa does have the sacks. Crosby has the higher grade. Guy was everywhere. Why do you think, Nick, that Crosby over Bosa is a crime, not that it's a snub?
I mean, if anything, I think Crosby not being on the first team is the biggest snub at the position, because you look at the pressure numbers and you can say, well, Crosby had the most pass rush snaps. Yep, he did. Absolutely. But guess what? He also had the highest win rate at the position. So there was no player, regardless of snap. Well,
pass rush snaps, he did have the most, 597.
Yeah, but scroll up and change the tab over to just pure pass rush grade. Like if you scroll up
right
above,
here. Pass rush.
No, up above. Like keep going up. Go to the box score report, click on the defense to the right.
We're going down to pass rush grade?
Yeah, just pass rush.
Yeah. No,
okay.
that
and if you go to and you sort by win rate over a couple columns, it is
win percentage. I got it right here.
Win percentage.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're going to have some
Curtis
guys.
Weaver, let's see.
Yeah, Boise State Regent. So he played 4 pass rush snaps.
Boy.
Who cares? Max Crosby had 597 pass rush snaps. He had the highest win rate in the NFL. That is what Steph Curry does in terms of 3-point shooting. Not this year, but in other years. That he'll lead the NFL or lead the NBA in 3-point attempts and then lead the NBA in percentage or be very close to the league. Yeah. That is what Crosby did. Yes, I know that he didn't finish as many sacks as you want him to, but Bosa doesn't impact the game anymore. That is a myth. That is a lie. That is just incorrect. This season, Max Crosby
going in.
There were 6 plays a game that Max Crosby ended up in the quarterback's face. 101 pressures divided by 17. That's 5.99999. And Bosa had a great season. Absolutely. He should probably be on the second team if he wasn't already. But I think you run into an issue with saying, oh, well, sacks matter more. Why do sacks matter more? What about those pressures that become an ill-advised throw from Justin Herbert and then he throws it into a defensive back's hands? What about those? That's what pressure causes. Sure, sacks are great and sacks, but would you rather have, in a very niche example, would you rather have an interception or a loss of 1 on a sack? I'd rather have an interception. Would you rather have a guy go from I'll use Lamar Jackson as an example.
Well, no, use Trevon Diggs as an example. Would you rather a guy give up all those yards but be able to impact the game with an interception, or would you rather have a guy who doesn't give up many yards and or doesn't give up many yards but doesn't also make plays on the ball and get INTs? I think Trevon Diggs is extremely valuable.
I agree. I just think
there with the sacks. I mean, like you gotta turn the ball over. You gotta stop the drive with a sack. A sack is a drive killer. A pressure is a drive killer potentially too at times, but a sack that really stops a drive. So I mean, Bosa
that's fair. But then, is Robert Quinn better than Nick Bosa? No. I think people love sacks too much, and they say, oh, well, TJ Watt is clearly the best player in the NFL because he had 4 more sacks than anyone. Well, did you watch all of his sacks? There's context to these stats. There's context to how TJ Watt
all these guys are pretty
sacks.
good, though. I mean, if you go to the top 10 players in sacks this year, you can look at the value of their impact on the game. I mean, all these guys, Leonard.
But I mean,
Cameron Jordan,
if you want to tell me that Azeez Ojulari was better than Max Crosby, or at the same level as Max Crosby, or same level as Rashaan Gary, I'm going to call that BS. Because Gary ended up second in pressures at the position. Crosby ended up with 15 more than anyone not named Aaron Donald. 20 more than anyone not named Aaron Donald. Sure, he had no help for Norton, but go back. That's one game. Watch all of the games. Watch all 17 games and look at the win rate. That wasn't even his number 1 pressure game of the season. He had 2 with 13 and 1 with 12. Guess how many the rest of the NFL had with at least 12? Let's take 2 the entire season.
Yeah.
Donald had 1.
Rashaan Gary had a really good year, by the way. A little bit of an underrated player this season. I mean, maybe not underrated. I hear people talking about him a bunch, but Rashaan Gary played extremely well for Green Bay. What happened to the Smith brothers this year? I mean, I see Preston up here, but I feel really
Zadarius missed almost the entire season. He didn't end up getting a sack. Okay, all have recent. Nick.
Oh, crap. Nick's going in.
Max Crosby had 90 pressures entering week 18. 90 pressures. How many other players in the NFL had 90 pressures this season? None of them. 0. So if you just cut out the Storm Norton stuff, Max Crosby had more pressures than everyone else in the NFL. Even Aaron Donald, even TJ Watt, even Rashaan Gary. Okay.
All right,
what about the games?
All right, let's tune back in. We're live right now with uSTADIUM. We got Nick going in. We got Splash going in. We're about to pop this out and go into some more second teamers. We're going through the the snubs of the Splash. If you want to get this little live thing up, we're listening in right now with Splash. You're listening right now with Splash and myself. We're going in. I'm about to share again the second teamers. Let's see what people have said. So who is the biggest snub? Sorry, I got all these controls going on over here. Let's see what we got here. Who is the biggest snub over here? All right. Who is the biggest snub? This is the first team. Yeah, J.C. Jackson.
I'm going to answer
okay.
the Knicks questions.
Darius Slay, snub or no snub? I say snub.
I don't think he was a top 4 corner this season.
Who is
good.
Better?
I would take Terrell and Ramsey. I'm not opposed to Slay being on the second team. I don't think he wasn't a first team snub.
Slay, I believe, led the league in pick sixes, didn't he? I think he had
2 scoop and scores as well.
Yeah. I think
he had a pick 6 and 2 scoop and scores.
Yeah.
Big play
Slay. You have to make a little bit of.
But even Xavier Howard had a pick 6 and was it 2 pick sixes and a fumble return touchdown? Like how much do you judge a once a season, twice a season kind of play like that? Like what's the difference between AJ Terrell didn't have a pick 6, but I don't know, Rasul Douglas had 3. Okay, is Rasul Douglas better than AJ Terrell? You can look at this with like kick return, punt return touchdowns. Okay, Jakeem Grant had 1 punt return touchdown. Devin Duvernay didn't have one. Is Grant better than Duvernay? Is Kene Nwangwu the best kick returner in the NFL because he had 2 kick return touchdowns, even though he only played about half the season?
But Splash, something has to be said for a guy like a Wouzier or I don't know, take AJ Terrell, who's proven to an extent to be good. Darius Slay's proven to be in his career one of the top 5 cornerbacks in this league.
Sure.
And I think when you do it, when you've done it and you do it again, that's what's valuable as a corner. I think too many times we get into this thing with PFF and a lot of these next-gen stats providers where we just go with what Nick was saying. I have to agree to an extent with his recency bias. You have guys – remember Clinton Dunbar?
He was very good for 1 year.
Yeah, but you don't see him on anything anymore. He was like a PFF stud. So, I mean, I feel like AJ Terrell is someone who we're not gonna talk about AJ Terrell next season. Unfortunately,
is Trevon Diggs going to have 11 interceptions again? Yes or no?
He not 11, but he could have 7. He could have 6 or 7 next year.
Then he's not as impactful to your defense. I think that's just kind of a misguided way of seeing. It's like Austin Eckler had 20 touchdowns this season. Does that make him better than like someone else that he had fewer? No, it's a lot of it's opportunity. If Trevon Diggs is getting targeted on a play, he can get an interception. If J.C. Jackson is getting targeted, he can get an interception. If A.J. Terrell's on the other side of the field.
Nick, call in.
Yeah, Nick, you need to call in. Nick, if A.J. Terrell's on the other side of the field.
You don't have to get on camera. Just call in. You guys have the number. So, Nick, call in. We want Nick on the stream. Nick, get in the stream. This. We'll push this out. Splash, let's push this out. I'm going to make a picture right now with the Pro Bowl teams. Let's push this out and get people's thoughts right here. We want Snubs, so push it out. I'm making a quick.
I don't think Slay doing it year in and year out should have any impact on an All-Pro team.
Nick, go in the bathroom. We need Nick on right now.
Let me give you an example. Justin Tucker made the All-Pro team. Deservedly so. He had the best field goal percentage in the NFL this season. He did not make it because he was the best kicker in the NFL the last 9 seasons. That should have no relevance to what he did this season. It's that Cordero Patterson didn't make it as a kicker or didn't make it as a kick returner. Why? Because he wasn't a great kick returner this year. It doesn't matter that he was all-time great the last 5 seasons. Like
what the hell? This guy before saying J.C. Jackson was a snub as a first teamer, he made the second team. I have it right here. J.C. Jackson, second team. A.J. Terrell, second team. What snubs are? I mean, Darius Slay is a snub. Darius Slay is better than A.J. Terrell.
No. Wrong.
If you're starting a team right now,
that's a different question.
Argue with you.
That's a different question. Like
no, it's
okay.
no, it's
yes,
the same exact question.
You would take you would take Kittle and Kelce over Andrews. I would too, but Andrews had a better season. Yes or no? If you're starting a team, you're taking Kittle.
I'm saying based on this season, who would I rather
take
have?
AJ Terrell.
You're also making it seem like the difference is as extreme as it was with Andrews versus Kelce and Kittle.
It's not an extreme.
Andrews had an extreme year Like you have to. It's not like AJ.
Kelce
I
missed a
mean,
game.
I could say you could say the same thing with Darius Slay and Trevon Diggs. I might take Darius Slay to start a team over Trevon Diggs right now. That doesn't mean that Trevon didn't. But AJ Terrell, the difference between him and Slay, I didn't think was big enough. From like just what?
That's fair, but I think Terrell was cornerback 1 or 2, and and Slay was cornerback 5 this season. That some positions is a huge gap. Like there's 5 wide receivers that should have been first team All Pro. Chase should have been first team All Pro in a perfect world. He was a top 22 player, or 26 player, or is it 26? 28 player because they have all those special teamers, and like Deebo, Adams, Jefferson, Kupp. Okay, great. Those were all top 28 players this season. Is it necessarily fair that Tristan Wirfs had a pretty good season, but he just happens to play at a weaker position at right tackle?
Oh, we have breaking news. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is out versus the Steelers. So that just came in. Yeah.
Imagine if they drafted Jonathan Taylor instead of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The Chiefs.
I know, right?
Imagine if they drafted Dobbins or Swift or Antonio Gibson. Like even like friggin' Edwards or Dobbins missed an entire season, and I would still take his production over what Edwards-Helaire's done in 2 years.
By the way, the receiver position in the NFL is stacked when Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson aren't first team wide receivers. That's when you know. That's when you know you're in a very offensively heavy run league. But yeah, I'm trying to get the second teamers. I want to get one graphic. Guys, Nick, if you're out there, let's get one graphic. Let's get the first and second team all on one graphic. We'll share it. We'll push it out to the uSTADIUM fam. I want them on. Let's get people on here. Let's get one graphic of all of the All-Pros. Can we find that? Let me see if I can combine that, and then we'll go live and we'll push this out there for everybody. Can we get it all on one graphic?
So there's one post on the app, one comment on the app that I want to talk about. It's from John West. He says he wants a stat for the number of times pressures impact a play. That is a pretty, I don't know how I feel about that, because you can look, I get what he's trying to say, that not all pressures are created equal. That's fine. But then take a step further and say not all sacks are created equal, right? TJ Watt and the Steelers were petitioning the NFL to give Watt a sack for touching Tyler Huntley. For touching Tyler Huntley. Yeah. That would have been a sack. That is very different from beating a triple team and whacking the ball loose. Now, he did force a fumble on the play, but it's very different from, sprinting down Lamar Jackson and forcing a fumble and beating like 5 different offensive linemen. So I don't understand why people want to nitpick with pressures, but they don't want to nitpick with sacks. Like they 22.5. Like, slow down, people. Like, come on. Not all sacks are created equal. Just look at Watt's second sack, or maybe third sack against Seattle, Monday Night Football. He gets stonewalled by the Seattle offensive line. And then Geno Smith takes 10 steps up in the pocket, compromises his offensive lineman's position, and then gets whacked because TJ Watt is just standing there. So Watt got destroyed on the rep for all intents and purposes. And then Geno Smith kind of like rips the rug out from everyone, makes his offensive lineman vulnerable, like takes a step too far back on his drops, and Orlando Brown gets torched on the outside because tackles aren't going to move that fast. So you have several sacks throughout the season that Watt is like kind of just there and the quarterback runs into him. The forced fumbles are impressive. I get it. But sacks need context too. Sacks need context too. Pressures need context too. I agree with that. It's just a goofy situation all around.
All right, I'm throwing these up right here, and then we'll get the U fam up in these beach. So I got the first team right here, and I got the second team. Hold on. All right. So let's rock and roll with this. So Splash, what is, in your opinion, the biggest criterion for you when you're judging a defensive lineman, a pass rusher, an edge rusher? What is how do you do your analyses on that?
I would say if I I'm consistent every year. You can look at my all splash team from last year when I chose Watt as one of the edges, that he was among the leaders in pressures, and he had an incredible grade. He had an incredible run defense grade. So when I'm judging pass rushers, I want to look at pressures, pressure win rate. Are you winning your rep, or is it just like a cheap pressure? Also, is it an unblocked pressure? The Baltimore Ravens happened to lead the NFL in unblocked pressures. So when Matt Judon had, 6 pressures in a game, you kind of have to ask yourself, were those unblocked? Were they against a tight end? What context? So game film is number one. That's obvious. So thank you for the Game Pass subscription. Use it a lot. So film, then I would go pressures, win rate, things like that. And then you go sacks. I think sacks are important. Forced fumbles are important. Scoop and scores are important. I get that. But those are more, I don't want to call fluke, but more, it's closer to, like, if Shohei Ohtani hits an inside the park home run, is that like the greatest thing ever? No. I think you need to delineate between things that are a very occasional thing versus things that are like actually impacting the play every game. So I look at this and say, okay, Max Crosby generates 6 pressures per game. Does he have fewer sacks? Yes, but he generates 6 pressures per game. If the opposition throws the ball, 30 times, he is affecting 20% of the plays. TJ Watt might have more sacks and might get more than a sack per game, but he's affecting one play. Does him affecting one play to a great degree outweigh Crosby affecting 6 plays to like a decent degree? Like, would you rather have a guy have 6 catches for 100 yards or 1 catch for 8 yards and a touchdown?
I'm a 6 catch for 100 yards kind of guy.
Okay. And I think there's games. There's games that it might be more important to have that 1 catch for 8 yards and a touchdown. If it's a game-winning touchdown, if it's like a contested catch, whatever, to tie the game. There's certainly times that Watt had a better week than someone else, even though he had fewer pressures. That's fine.
Yeah.
But
Splash, let's get this out there. Splash, let's post this out to the UFam if you want to push. Say join us for all pro reactions. I'm going to get them all on one pick. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with this program right now. I'm trying to get everyone just on one freaking pick. It's so dang annoying. Hold on, I'm doing it right now. You're good.
Although I did push it out. I did push it out.
When?
When we started.
Oh, fuck it. All right.
I can understand. I'm sure Nick is in the chat, going off, but how good is Joel Bitonio? Could have been an all-pro at multiple offensive line positions. Agree. He played 1 game at left tackle or 2 games at left tackle, and he was the best left tackle in the NFL. It was awesome. So I think that's fun. That's a fun conversation because I'm usually a proponent of.
Baker was pressured. Baker was getting pressured all year. I mean, I know it wasn't necessarily from Joel, but that offensive line.
Jedrick Wills wasn't. See, you have to look at who's giving up the pressure. Some of it's on Baker's because he would hold the ball, but
absolutely,
they were playing not Jack Conklin at right tackle for half the season. And Jack Conklin is an awesome right tackle, don't get me wrong, but he's not the best pass protector in the NFL. He's a great run blocker. So if he's allowing pressure and Jedrick Wills on the left side is allowing pressure, and you're playing at times your 3rd or your 4th string tackles, what are you doing? You're not getting much there. And they have a terrific central 3 with Shredder, Bitonio, and Teller. But it doesn't matter if you're just running around the edges the entire game. How many games when Cam Heyward played the Browns, did he have a great game? No, not really. Twice, not really. So you have to look at kind of where the pressures are coming from. It would be say, if a team allowed tons of receiving touchdowns, well, who are they allowing them to? Receivers? Are they allowing them to tight ends? Are they allowing them to running backs? It's one thing if Davante Adams is going for 15 catches, 225 yards, and 3 touchdowns on your head. It's a whole other thing if your linebackers can't cover. They can't cover Mike Gesicki, or they can't cover Austin Eckler.
Yeah. All right, Splash. We're rolling this out right now. You're listening to uSTADIUM Live. We're going through the All-Pro rosters. This was actually my first time seeing it. I probably should have saw it before I went live, but hey, what are you going to do? I'm out in Miami right now. I'm about to go get some margaritas in a little bit. You know what I mean? Get some Cuban croquettes, which, by the way, the Cubans make croquettes as good as the Italians do, if not better. Shout outs over there. But yeah, let's go through it. So we have the first team right here. We have the second team here. So just going through the list again. Aaron Rodgers, first team quarterback. People might say Tom Brady, but Aaron Rodgers got the first team. First team running back was obviously Jonathan Taylor, and he had so many votes that out of the 50, he got all 50. So the running back here is vacant, which I didn't even know was. I mean, I knew it was a thing, but I didn't know that was going to happen this year. So yeah, Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Kupp, first team, not a shocker. Davante Adams, first team, also not a shocker. Deebo Samuel, first team, a bit of a shocker because he gets in over Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, which very interesting there. I mean, there's a lot of people out there, and make sure you comment. You listen to uSTADIUM Live. Shoot us a comment if you're out there on YouTube or wherever you are, and let us know. Do you think that Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson should have been in over Deebo Samuel? That is a big thing. I think you can make an argument for both those guys, and but you can also make an argument for Deebo. Mark Andrews, Splash's lover boy, is the tight end one. Gets in over Travis Kelce. Mark Andrews broke the Ravens franchise single season receiving yards record. Kelce gets in on the second team. No George Kittle, and that brought us to another conversation earlier as to whether or not we should consider maybe doing a third team All-Pro team, having a third team All-Pro team. However, when you're just giving the voters one vote, which is why this running back spot is vacant, if all 50 go to one player, you don't have a second teamer. So Lyman, going down the list, Trent Williams crushed it this year. PFF's 98 rated best player this year. Joel Bitonio had another solid, really good year, or great year. Zack Martin, another freaking awesome year. Tristan Wirfs, who I wanted the Jets to draft. Again, Nick, I want you to know, I know you're out there. I wanted the Jets to draft Tristan Wirfs. I have receipts there. But, hey, Micah Becton didn't play this season or played a couple games. I don't know what the hell ended up happening, why he didn't come back. Oh, if he did come back, I honestly don't even know or care. Jason Kelce got in that first team, which a lot of people are saying, hey, what the hell's going on there? Where's Crete Humphrey? He didn't even make the second team, and he was ranked as the best center on a lot of boards by PFF2 this year. Frank Ragnow had a really good year as well.
Well, he only played 4 games, but yeah.
He only played 4 games?
Yeah, okay, last year was the throat injury. Yeah, I think it was like elbow or shoulder injury this year. Something like that.
I thought he played more than 4 games. I'm pretty sure he played more than 4 games.
He only, he got injured early October. Like I think he got injured week 4, week 5. Alexander Johnson got injured like week 5, week 6.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry got injured super early. Like those were my 3 early All-Pro picks, and they all got injured.
Because he was I think he was the highest rated. He's been the highest rated center Frank for forever, man. I don't know.
I think it was Lindsley last year, but Ragnow's been like number 2.
Oh shit! I did not know that.
Yeah. So he's awesome. He was my number 1 center in my top 100.
Then going through this a bit more, edge rushers, which has been a bit of an argument across the board. TJ Watt, Myles Garrett. I think we can say that those are the best 2 rushers this year.
I think best 2 overall is fine. I would take Crosby over Garrett for just this season.
Wow, Crosby over Garrett. Big,
and then Bosa over Quinn on the second team. Is it that big of a statement, though? Crosby had 23 more pressures, higher pressure rate. His team's in the playoffs, so that matters.
Myles Garrett was the favorite for the first 10 or so games to be Defensive Player of the Year. Don't forget that. I mean, and then you're talking about stats, and you want to talk about sacks specifically not meaning much. Well, TJ Watt. How much better was TJ Watt this year than How much better was TJ Watt this year than Myles Garrett in actuality in terms of value? Myles Garrett played.
I think there's a solid. Well, Watt did miss some time. There's like on a scale of like 1 to 10, I think Watt had like a 9 season and Garrett had like an 8.5 season. I think Garrett would be a first team All-Pro most seasons. Watt would be an first team All-Pro every single season. Is it the greatest season by an edge ever? No, but I do think Max Crosby had a 9.0 season.
Okay, fair. Let's go through. We'll get back to that. Interior defensive tackles, Aaron Donald. You can just put him in, even if he
7 in
doesn't
a row.
do anything. Yeah.
8.
By the way, I'm starting to
7
think
in a
Aaron
row.
Donald's pretty overrated because everyone just puts him on these lists, and I'm sick of seeing him on there. So I want to be a contrarian and just decline it.
I'm surprised there's no Bobby Wagner on the first team. That did catch me off guard. I know he made second team, but I was just expecting, like on Pro Football Reference, you have a little asterisk and a plus sign if they are a Pro Bowl All-Pro, and Wagner is like a list of them. So I'm a little surprised, and the voters did the right thing and put Devondre Campbell in. So I'm very happy to see that.
Yes, Devondre Campbell, under the radar kind of guy, was pretty good in Atlanta. Was very underratedly good. Last year played in Arizona, and then this year, he blew up this year. He had 146 tackles. He had a great year at 2 sacks. Was he first team though?
Yes, easily.
Yeah,
So I do 2 linebacker spots on my team because I do 5 defensive backs.
Demario Davis never gets enough love, I feel, and Roquan Smith. I mean, I didn't watch a lot of Bears games because they put me to freaking sleep. But I mean, if you're gonna ask me Devondre Campbell or Roquan Smith, I mean, I don't know the stats, but I mean, let me go. Devondre Campbell, 146 tackles, 2 sacks. What did Roquan Smith do this year? But I'm sure it's something similar. 163 tackles and 3 sacks. So Roquan had 163 tackles and 3 sacks. Devondre had 146 and 2 sacks. Not saying sacks or everything. Also, Roquan had an interception touchdown, a 53-yard touchdown. I remember against the Bengals.
Joe Burrow. Yeah.
So why Devondre Campbell over Roquan Smith, or it's more of a feel?
This is a tape thing. This is a tape thing. Devondre Campbell does like the Eric Kendricks method of covering players, not grass. Roquan still has his lapses in coverage. He's still Roquan's very good. He's certainly a top 10 linebacker season this year, but I don't think he brought it quite as consistently as Campbell did. Like Campbell, week in, week out, was a top tier linebacker. Roquan had his moments, he had his flashes, kind of like Diggs in a way, that there would be some weeks that he's an easy slam dunk, no doubt, like team of the week guy, and then there's other weeks that he's like, Roquan just got lost in the wash against a pretty bad team, or Roquan just like didn't look right, or like, I mean, I mentioned the Vikings game earlier. Like Thomas Graham came in and played like the best player on the planet of the earth for a game, and where was Roquan Smith that game? I don't know.
You know who should have made the first team? And I really don't care what anyone has to say. I will stick to this until the day I pass. It doesn't matter what anyone says. Every single year, you need to put this man on the first team. And I don't really.
Is it a Jet?
There's nothing else to be said. It's the GOAT. One of the best picks in New York Jets history, baby. Put him in. Yeah, baby. What another excellent game-changing year.
He doesn't have any braces anymore, does he?
I don't think so, not anymore.
Okay.
But it's a damn shame this guy does not get in every year. I mean, just like the best thing about Quinnen Williams are his pictures, because if you watch the videos, you're not impressed. But if you see this, you're like, damn, bro. You're like, yo, get him, Tiger. Look at this guy. Jets unlikely to extend Quinnen Williams. Oh, yeah? Well, I'm not going to be a fan anymore then. So look at that. You're telling me you don't want that guy? This guy is fantastic.
Hey, the Jets did have a first-team All-Pro, Braxton Berrios.
Let's go. You damn right we did.
Yeah.
That's a guy who literally I'm very excited we have. I just hope we have the quarterback that's going to be able to get him the ball consistently, because
Ravens had 3 and still had a losing record.
Yeah, Braxton Berrios played with even a guy like Derek Carr, who I know Nick calls average. The guy's better than Hunter Renfrow. Braxton Berrios doesn't get love. Well, Hunter Renfrow had a great year. I love that guy. I love him.
Awesome. Yeah, I think he had 9 touchdowns over almost 1,100 yards. Weird game against the Chargers. Yeah, weird game against the Chargers though. 2 catches. I think it was like 2 catches, like 15 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Frank, when he hears about linebackers in coverage.
Look,
Hey,
it matters.
I will say this. I told
matters.
you all on Twitter. I told every freaking person on Twitter when Dion Jordan, and I have receipts, and I still haven't gotten apologies for it. When I told all you mother effers on Twitter that Dion Jordan was not going to be a linebacker to come into the league as an edge and freaking guard tight ends because he runs a 4-4. You guys were like, oh, he's a 4-4 edge. He's going to be able to guard tight ends. No one's able to guard these tight ends. Safeties and corners aren't able to guard these tight ends. You guys were wrong. I told you guys, if you're not a rush, and who did I tell you guys was good? I told you Chandler Jones was good. You didn't listen. I told you that the other asshole was good that the Jets got, and you guys didn't even listen to me. Quinn Coples, I said, was no good, and no one listened to me. So I was wrong about the one guy from Alabama, the edge guy. Splash, you want to get the live on thing? Oh, here we go. I got it. So you didn't listen. It was like Nick. It was like with Drew from Jersey. He tried to tell us with Kingsbury and Mahomes, and we didn't listen to him, But all right, you're listening to uSTADIUM Live. Me and Splash just going in a little bit. What's going on?
I did not realize that Dion Jordan ran a 4.540.
Yes.
Wow.
4.540. Everyone and their mother. Yeah. He just didn't have pass rush moves, man. Sometimes those guys are so fast, and it's about feel. That's the biggest thing about an edge rusher. It's not as much about speed and strength as it is about feel. Now, that's when you look at guys like Nick Bosa, even coming off an injury where you think they might fall off a bit because their speed and strength isn't where it was. Mm-hmm. And Bosa did lose a little bit this year. He'll gain it right back, though.
Yeah, he was awesome this year.
A little bit of his agility wasn't there. A little, had some running in the sand moments. But his feel's there, and that's the thing with him. I think guys like him, Chandler Jones. Then you get a guy who can feel and with TJ Watt's aggression. That I think you mix those together, and damn, you get best rusher in the league, which I think we can all say TJ Watt was this year. But feel is big. I'm starting to not be so big on getting into the NFL draft a little bit, just because we went through this all pro thing a little much. I'm starting to think this Aiden Hutchinson kid from Michigan, I don't know if he's as good as people think he is. I don't know. I think
it's fair. I don't think he or Thibodeau are slam dunk for number 1 picks. I think it's just happens that they're the best 2 prospects. Like Thibodeau is very clowny in a way that he's super, super raw. So you just expect him to connect, but his comp is Clowney, and Clowney was pretty good, but he never hit. He never became Myles Garrett. He never became even Mario Williams, former Texan. So I think you have, and Hutchinson had a lot of production at Michigan, but then against Georgia, he was nowhere to be found. He and Ojabo were nowhere to be found. And those guys, those could be 2 top 10 picks. Might have the number 1 pick and a number, 10 pick. The Jets could take Ojabo at 10, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, let's go through right now. Just getting into a little bit of draft talk. Hey, we're live. We can talk about whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
So, hey, this is what we got right here. The Jaguars getting Kayvon first. I think this is you can put this in the bank. You can put this pick in the bank right here.
Oh, really? You think it's going to be Thibodeau over Hutchinson for sure?
Absolutely. Because what's going to happen is this. This is what's going to happen. You're going to go into the offseason. You're going to have all these workouts, and Kayvon's going to impress the hell out of you. He's bigger, faster, and more imposing than Aiden is. So he'll do better in workouts. It's like it's Jadeveon Clowney thing, where you look at a guy and you're like, oh, what he could be, and Kayvon's upside based on his workouts are going to be. So you have the tape. Aiden's better on tape, I think. Although I don't think Aiden's going to be that good for the record. But if you look at on tape and stats, Aiden has Kayvon. But when the workouts come in, you'll see Kayvon's shoot up. So that's
interesting.
This kid's awesome.
You should look at my mock draft.
I know Nick. Get it up. What the hell is this freaking this NBC thing keeps wanting to play me ads? Come on, bro.
Yeah, I'll get
me your mock draft.
I got my splashes.
We have here Derek Stingley Jr. is legit. Now I haven't done all my draft research yet, but Derek Stingley's awesome. I can see it. the way he moves in space, the way he feels it out, sniffs it out. Got that LSU baller in him. This kid's going to be good. I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know if he's going to go third. I think that's a bit high, but the kid's going to be good.
You go Hamilton.
Nick, he's going to be a top 6 or 7 pick. So I know we've been speaking about mock draft stuff. Derek Stingley Jr. is going to be a top 6 or 7 pick. They have the Jets getting Kyle Hamilton. I don't know much about this kid, but I would not want us to get a
superstar.
Freaking break.
No, don't look at Isaiah.
I just don't want a safety. I don't.
He doesn't have to play safety. He can play everywhere. He is the Simmons of this draft class.
That's the number one sign of a bad defensive player, is what you just said. When I hear that, I'm out 95% of the time.
Because I don't care. The scheme Notre Dame plays.
I want him to play one position. They said Dion Jordan could play everywhere. They said Jamal Adams could play everywhere. They said, who's the kid? Shaq Lawson? Shaq Thompson.
I mean, to be fair, Jamal Adams was very good. So, I mean.
He was for a few years. But then we saw his deficiencies and people didn't.
I got my mock draft. Are you ready for it?
Let's see.
Here we go. Thibodeau.
Where'd you make this? Why don't you make this on the exclusive tab?
We can talk about this.
Nick, by the way, Nick saying this, Stingley isn't even cornerback 1. Nick, based on what I've seen, I don't know if I'm going to watch tape. I haven't gone through my tape yet, and I'm glad we're talking about the draft now, which is awesome. Can't imagine a guy having that much better tape than this kid from what I've seen so far. Now that could change, but Stingley does everything you'd want, and he gets those interceptions, and he plays the ball like you like. So I don't know who's cornerback 1. We'll throw his tape up.
Okay, Hutchinson 2, Hamilton 3. So look. Hamilton, I get safety. I get you read safety and you're like alarm bells. But look at also Notre Dame. So this is the Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah role at Notre Dame. And you saw how JOK translated immediately to the NFL with his athletic profile. He played as like the overhang defender in Notre Dame's scheme, but that position doesn't exist in the NFL. So he had to play more of like an off-ball linebacker role. And he was awesome for the Browns. Hamilton has incredible range as a free safety. He can play strong safety. He can spotlight in the slot. He's very Minkah Fitzpatrick-y, if you will. He's probably better than Minkah Fitzpatrick was coming out of Alabama. That's how good Hamilton is, and he's going to be a superstar.
But the thing about this is you just bring up a guy, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and this is my issue.
I brought up a two-time first-team All-Pro? Gotcha.
What team is he on?
The Steelers.
What team drafted him?
Miami.
Okay, that's your issue. And this guy was drafted in the last 6 years. So we're not talking about a guy who's like at the end of it. Jamal Adams, Jets drafted him on a different team. These guys are on different teams. Don't be surprised if Derwin James isn't on the Chargers in a few years. These safeties don't stay on teams. We see guys, Kenny Vaccaro, who go high. We saw that kid from Florida, the safety that you guys took that kid from Florida, the safety. What was his
Matt
name?
Elam?
Yeah.
That was like 8 years ago.
I'm just saying you can't depend on these safeties that early.
Okay. Stingely 4
That's fine, though. That doesn't mean the position doesn't exist. You have 2 safeties on the field. If they're great, and they're valuable. I agree.
Yeah. Karlaftis 5 to the Giants.
By the way, I love that kid, but scroll up 1 second. Nick said, just to get to the Jets pick, just really quick. Nick, why don't you call in, by the way? We'll throw you the thing. I know Luca's sleeping, but here, I'm going to send you an invite. Just call in. We got to get Nick's take, and we could cut this up too, so just call in, bro. About this. Nick says the Jets aren't taking a D-back top 4. Well, the issue there is there's no clear-cut offensive players that you can look at, receivers, which obviously we always get screwed up on, with receivers or tight ends or offensive linemen
not taking a tight end
that are – there's nobody there. So
positional value matters a lot. Like if there was a Kyle Pitts, okay, you might take him at 4, right? Or if there's like a Quentin Nelson or even Tyler Linderbaum, okay, maybe you go as high as 4. But like I don't think you're taking like corner is so valuable. I think 4 just makes sense. I know Okudah didn't necessarily work out any towards Achilles this year, but you take a valuable player at corner. Like how many positions are more valuable than corner? There's quarterback, edge, offensive tackle. That's about it. And you could even argue corner could be more valuable than any one of those positions. And then you look at where the money goes, and that's why you have, like, say if you took a running back here, like what the Giants did with Saquon's one of the highest paid running backs in the NFL on his rookie deal. If you take a corner at 4, then it's a bargain. If you take a quarterback at 4, it's a bargain. If the Giants taking Karlaftis at 5, that's a bargain because you're paying a guy that you expect to be very good at a very valuable position, not a lot of money. But if you take, I don't know, a playbook out or a page out of the Raiders playbook and take a kicker in the first round or a punter in the first round, then he's the highest paid kicker punter already. And that's not good business.
Yeah, Splash, we got Nick on right now. So, Nick, you're on with the gang. You're saying that the Jets are not going to take a D-back in the top 5. I don't know how you know that, but spill us some intel over here. And I don't know if trading down will be a for sure thing, unless I think if a team likes Kenny Pickett or one of these other quarterbacks in this draft, I could see a team trading up to that 4 spot to try to pull off a move to get a quarterback, because you know how these guys can kind of shoot up in rankings. There will be a quarterback picked in the top 5. You can book it there.
I disagree. I disagree.
Well, wait until the draft. But Nick, what say you? All right, Nick is not on.
Okay.
I think there will be someone in the top 5. So,
all right,
we will see. I don't know if it's Kenny Pickett. I don't know if somebody else comes up. But yeah, let's go through the draft.
So Karlaftis 5, Ekwonu 6. People gave me some pushback for this. I'm not necessarily saying Ekwonu is better than Evan Neal, but I do think the Panthers might go guard here as opposed to tackle here, because they do have Christensen and Moton as their tackle duo. So if you say you put Ekwonu in on the interior, left guard, right guard, I think that's fine. Linderbaum 7. Linderbaum is one of my favorite players in the draft class. If he didn't play center, he probably would be number 1 on my draft board, but he plays center, and that's like the positional value here is questionable. The talent is not. Linderbaum is the best center prospect in decades.
Nick, are you there? Nope, not there.
All right. Evan Neal 8 to Atlanta. Nakobe Dean 9. This could be a quarterback spot 9. David Njoku 10 to the Jets. There we have a quarterback 11.
You have no quarterbacks in the top 10. So never mind the top 5. You have none in the top 10.
Yeah, so I think Broncos could go quarterback here, but I think they should go with a veteran quarterback. Like if they can pull the trigger on Russ or Aaron Rodgers. Atlantic, I guess, could think about quarterback. I don't think they will. The Giants could think about quarterback. I don't think they should. I don't think they will. Panthers, not this year, next year. Because you have to keep in mind, next year you have Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and you're going to have 2 blue chip quarterbacks. And then whatever happens afterwards happens. Whether if you have a Joe Burrow pop up, you have Matt Corral pop up, and you have some random second, or you have these guys fly up draft boards. So I think this year is a more hands-off quarterback year than in years past. Denver could take a quarterback at 9. I wouldn't be surprised, or if Washington trades up and gets one, but Corral at 11 is fine by me. Trent McDuffie, now with Zimmer out, it doesn't make as much sense. So this is more of a Zimmer quarterback move, but he's no longer there, so there's issues with that. Brown, stay in state. Go Garrett Wilson.
Nick, you there?
I think so. You guys hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Howdy.
All right. Jesus, I don't know. StreamYard was killing it. What's going on?
How's it going?
Some draft talk. I love it. That's what I live for.
I got Sauce Gardner at Ravens at 14. I know they're
too late. That's a homer pick. He's going earlier than that.
What? I have never.
Sauce Gardner's number one corner in the draft.
Please find me Please find. I beg you, Nick. I beg you to find me a mock draft that he's higher than 14. Please.
I think he's
find one.
You had Stingley to the Jets. That won't happen, but I don't think.
Please find a mock draft that he goes higher than 14. Please.
Mine.
Okay. Other than yours.
All right, that's true. I will be fair. I haven't read many mocks yet, just because I think.
He's a guy that I often see the Eagles taking with one of their picks.
Yeah, Splash, let's go. We're going to set up a live stream for our official uSTADIUM mock draft. We'll do it. But Nick, why do you think? Nick, I don't understand. If a team doesn't want to, why would a team trade up unless they're going to get a quarterback, which is what I'm saying, why a quarterback I think will just be drafted in the top 5, and it's probably going to be this Kenny Pickett kid. So if it's not going to be Kenny Pickett, in your opinion, who would trade up in the top 5? Why would they trade up?
It's tough. That's always the worry. That's always the thing is, teams who are picking in the top 5 are, looking for, a king's ransom. And when there's no quarterbacks, which there isn't this year, to trade up and get, there better be a player like a, Kyle Pitts last year, or, a slam dunk impact offensive player or pass rusher. And in this draft, they're just not there. I could see the Jaguars trying to trade out and a team moving up, like maybe the Giants, packaging their 2 picks to go to 1 to get, the premier pass rusher. But in terms of, players that are, in this draft that are, who are, trade upable for, it would probably be a Hamilton, the safety linebacker / kind of like gadget player from Notre Dame. If a team who's picking, let's say the Ravens, for example, who often don't pick as high as they are and feel like they are an impact player away on defense and are willing to kind of give up a 2nd-round pick and move up. I could see that happening. A team who
like
had
7/3.
So a team like the Ravens can move up from 14 into the top 5. And if all it costs is a 2nd-round pick or, a 2 and a, 2023 pick, like a 3rd rounder, to get a guy who they feel is a difference maker on their defense, then Hamilton is that guy.
Yes, that's
Stingley,
my pipe
maybe
dream.
if Stingley falls to 10-ish, around that area, which, a lot of people in the draft world think could happen just because of some of his tape this year before even the injury, another injury on his resume. My opinion is probably, is the 2nd corner in this draft. I like Sauce Gardner a lot better, similar to J.C. Horn last year as a guy that I think, a lot of people didn't watch because he played at Cincinnati. And then they had this huge year, his tape, and that defense was awesome. And now people are starting to notice, and he flashes a lot more when you watch Cincinnati's defense. And I think he's better fit. Stingley reminds me a lot of D. Milner, and it scares me. So I think like a Sauce Gardner is a guy who is like J.C. Horn, and I think his tape is better than Stingley's tape. I get the LSU background and the, he's families played football, and you've heard about Stingley for a few years now, and Gardner's a guy who's just kind of flashed on the scene. If I'm picking a corner in the top 10, it's going to be Gardner. Back to your other point, and you asked when I heard you, but I couldn't speak. I don't think you guys heard me. I don't think the Jets are drafting a defensive back number 4 at all. If you look at Joe Douglas and Saleh and their background of kind of building and coaching, they build from inside out. They're about the trenches, the offensive line, the defensive line. Douglas traded a safety, is about to let one walk. The Jets had 2 safeties, and they didn't pay either of them. So I don't think he's going to go and waste a top, 4 overall pick on another safety. Granted, this one is better suited for today's game because he can do more. He's rangier, play sideline to sideline, where, Adams was kind of built just to play downhill. But Marcus May is going to leave in the offseason too. I think if you look at Saleh's resume too, he's dealt with and drafted or has been a part of a team that's drafted secondary players later in the drafts. In Seattle, he worked with a lot of later round corners, San Francisco as well. I think he's from the give me a guy with the tools later in the draft and I can coach him up. Look what he's doing with Bryce Hall, who had a really good year for the Jets. And even, I don't think his, his talent is really there, Brandon Echols, but he was a 6th-round pick and he started a lot and he really did get better as the year went on. I think the Jets need more veteran presence in the defensive backfield. I think they have all young late-round picks who need just kind of the lead by example. So if J.C. Jackson, if the Patriots don't tag him, I think the Jets would kind of go all out and give that fat contract to a guy like him, and even Marcus Williams from the Saints. So much changes from here until the draft, right? You go through free agency. If the Jets sign, go on a free agency splurge and sign like a Jackson and a Williams, they're obviously not going to waste, I say waste because I'm not a fan of it, but use a either of the top 10 picks on a secondary player. So in a perfect world, they get an edge rusher. But in my opinion, Karl Loftus isn't worth a top 10 pick, and they're not going to get Hutchinson or Thibodeau.
Do you like Ojabo at 10?
I don't. Not for the Jets either. I think the kind of the front that Saleh plays in his game, I think he's a little raw, and I don't think he's necessarily a fit for Saleh. If he's there late, like on a trade back possibly, but it's going to take some. It's almost the square peg round hole with Saleh's defense in him.
Is there anyone you want in the top 10?
It's funny.
I know. It's
honestly,
like, according to Nick,
man.
there's no top 10
It's not a
picks
great
this year.
top-heavy draft.
Yeah.
It's
The draft's going to start at pick 15.
If
There's
it were up to
nobody
me,
in
it would for the Jets. I would trade back twice. Honestly.
Okay.
There's nobody – if you don't get the 2 pass rushers, I love Evan Neal. I think he's great. Are the Jets going to invest another pick into a tackle? I would, because of the question marks around Becton. And I know now Jet fans are like gung-ho about George Fant, who's been a career solid player. I know he had a great year this year.
Mm-hmm.
But are you really going to –
He's fantastic.
He's under contract for another year. Are you really going to turn away a guy like Evan Neal, who could either be your left tackle of the future? He's played guard at Alabama and played it really well. I know you don't want to be drafting a guard at even though the Colts did, and look how that worked out. I know you don't want to be drafting a guard 4 overall, but it's playing guard this year gives you a year to make a decision on Becton and Fant, and then he can play either tackle spot. So I would take Evan Neal if he's there.
Any love to Linderbaum?
Love Linderbaum. Again, picking the center guard is just tough for me, but I think he's the best center prospect I've seen probably like my entire conscious NFL draft life. I think he's that good.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, when the Jets are good, they have dominant center play. Kevin Mawai, Nick Mangold, they were anchors of those great offensive lines the Jets had in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then, the 2010s. So I would love to end up with Linderbaum. I don't know where I would take him just because of the positional value. And then the receivers are, the Jameson Williams injury sucks, but, it's tough for me to pick I can't put together a top 5 receiver ranking right now if you paid me.
Oh, yeah,
everybody's too close. And
what about this Garrett Wilson guy?
Yeah, I don't know. Do I like him over Olave? Do I like him over Drake London?
Williams.
Right. It's hard. It's really. I thought Jameson Williams was kind of the clear-cut number 1. I still think he is, but now you throw this injury into it. Like, where does that impact him falling into the 20s? Like, I know the same thing happened to
Nick. How's this kid Treylon Burks?
Really good and a good fit for the Jets offense too.
I think I have him at 18 to the Saints.
Yeah, that's probably more the 18 to 25 range, similar to where you guys took am I drawing a blank on his name last year? Yes, Bateman.
We took him at 27. Like the Giants took Tony range. At 20.
Yeah. So it's a good draft. I mean, every year, you could say that. It's just not a top-heavy draft. There's no Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase, of course. Now the Jets have 2 first-round top 10 picks.
By the way, Splash, does this get you scared here when you see a guy named Elam going late in the first round?
He's a good corner too.
Do you get
Khair Elam, Florida? Yes, I do have bad flashbacks. I actually have him going to Cincinnati here.
Oh shit!
There's some good corners that are gonna go late. I have a
Nick loves this kid, Trevor Penning. That's your boy.
He's good.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not like crazy about him. My draft crush is Christian Harris from Alabama, the linebacker.
Oh man, he was awesome.
Just all over the place.
Oh man, we said his name about 25 times.
Go late first round pick. Because I think he's going to crush the combine. I think he's going to kill the interview process, and I think he's going to,
Hey, I guess if you trade down from like 4 and or 10, then you can trade up. Don't you have an early second or Carolina's second?
2 seconds. Yeah, they have 35 and 38.
So yeah, you can trade down with 4 and 10 and use some of that capital and say, hey, let's go from 35 to 30.
That's what I would do.
Harris.
That's what I would do. And then
all right, Nick, I'm going to read
second man crush is tight end Trey McBride from Colorado State. Every little mock draft that I look into and do, I have him go to the Jets in the second round too. So I'm more excited about second round picks than I am the first round guys.
Gotcha.
Nick, can you see the stream right now?
Yeah, I got you.
All All right, so Jaguars are going to get Kayvon first overall. You can book that.
I don't
agree
think
with that.
so.
How much you guys want to bet? How many uSTADIUM? All right, we're going to make a uSTADIUM take right now. I'm going to do the Jaguars are going to get Kayvon. Agree or disagree? Nick, you're going to disagree?
I'm going to disagree. Yeah, because
I'm putting
20,000
points on it.
Wow.
We have a new update coming out. We can put up to 20,000 points. I'm throwing them all. You ready to risk?
High roller goes to Miami and thinks he's
How many people in the app even have 20,000?
Tony Montana now.
Let's go. 20,000 points, kid.
Oh my goodness.
Put your money where your mouth is. You're talking a lot of shit right now. I don't believe any of it.
I think they traded Evan Neal.
Nick, look, Kyle Hamilton, your boy, going third.
I pray the
Nick
Texans take him because that means Evan Neal's going to us.
Nick, guess who's going fourth? You ready? Nick, who's going fourth, do you think? Huh?
Probably Stingley. People are upset. Yeah, people are obsessed with this guy going to the Jets. It's not happening. I love Nakobe Dean, and I love Devin Lloyd from Utah. The linebackers in this draft are really good, and the Jets.
Nick wants this guy. Evan Neal. This is a Nick guy.
That is my guy.
Do you want another tackle, though? I know you were talking about it before.
Of course.
Not to
dude,
rehash.
I don't understand. People are like so anti-cat. Like the Jets have the hogs all of a sudden because they had a middle of the pack offensive line this year. I mean, we were playing Connor McDermott, Chuma Edoga, and Dan Feeney.
But the question is this, though: is getting a tackle worth us not maybe addressing a weakness, which could potentially tip our defense into some other level with Salah, and that would be addressing
I think when you have Salah, I think Salah, if he's any good, he will be able to find another pass rusher, get Carl Lawson back, hopefully, and that's where the defense is going to, make its money, and that's the bread and butter of the Jets defense. Salah's defense, you have to generate that 4-man pass rush. That's what they do. It's what they did in Seattle. It's what he did in San Fran. So if you're investing in the defense in the draft, in my opinion, you're investing in the edge. You're out of that, probably the top two guys, which sucks. So to me, I'm spending in free agency because they are so young on defense at every position, besides for Mosley. So I'm bringing in two veteran, respected guys in the secondary, a corner and a safety from really well-coached teams like J.C. Jackson and like a Marcus Williams from the Saints and Pats.
I swear,
and
if you
I'm
get
drafting.
both of them.
The Jets can definitely get both of them. They can afford both of them. They have the glaring holes. They're both system fits. So, I mean, if it were me, I'm spending on defense and I'm drafting offense.
I want Nakobe Dean. I think if we can
Nakobe
team
Dean.
him up, if we get him with our second pick in this draft, if we could team him up in the first round, if we could team him up with C.J. Mosley, I think you start building something like the Bucs did. Having Levante with what the hell is the other linebacker's name?
Devon
My guy.
White?
Yeah, Devon White.
Devon White.
Yeah, where was Devon
I
White
think
this season? You told me he was the best
I had a
linebacker
bad-
in the NFL.
He had a bad year. I haven't looked.
He wasn't great. I mean, he
Yeah,
misses a lot of
that defense
tackles, isn't
wasn't
very good in
great.
coverage.
Yeah,
He dealt with some
120
injuries
tackles,
and
though,
the
and
overrated
3.5
Todd
sacks,
Bowles.
So I mean, it's tough to judge sometimes, but guys, let's wrap it up. Splash, killing it as always. We'll get into some draft talk. We went through some all-pro stuff. Good shit. We'll take some cuts from it. Nick, the Jets are going to draft a D-back. I'm sorry to tell you, brother. But,
Two of them in the top 10.
We got a long time. We're going to do draft shows.
I'll give
all
every
freaking
single
offseason.
one of my points away if that happens.
I am making a take that the Jets or the Jaguars will draft Kayvon for 20,000 points, Nick. Nick,
How many
I don't
people
know
have
if you have
20,000 points,
20,000.
Frankie?
I don't think I do. I think I have like
I'm
16.
going to send myself the points, and then I'm going to, I'm a man of the people,
Okay.
so I'm just going to, no, I'm kidding. That's like that's what the owner of what's it called does all the time. The guy who runs that stock trading app, he sends himself freaking free Bitcoin all the time. This scumbag. That guy that runs a Robinhood app. Come on, Sweat. What do you think we're doing here? No, I'm just kidding. I don't even have that many points. I think I have like 2,000. So I'm gonna make it 1,000. I'm gonna make it 1,000 points for you guys. I'm not doing any
do
insider.
5,000.
All right, I'm gonna have to buy him then.
That's
Do
a
it.
lot of. I don't know. I think the Jaguars are too much of a disaster to put 5,000 points on.
All right, we got a
How do you
shout out
not
from
go
the
and draft
Philippines.
Evan Neal in this draft, especially after what you saw with Lawrence?
Yeah.
Or trade down and take Charles Cross like 6th or something. If I were them, I would make a deal with the Giants. That's what I would do. But again, we have a lot of time for this.
Yeah. All righty.
Yeah.
Well, that should
Remember
wrap us up
this,
for today.
guys. I'm screenshotting this for everyone. Jets
Do
aren't
it.
taking a D-back top 4. Screenshot it, Nick. Nick, I'm going to make another take. The Jets are taking a D-back. In top
They
So
come
you're
down to
giving
like
away
5.
Nick is
You're giving away
screwed tonight.
points.
Nick
Yeah,
is
you're
screwed.
giving away points with the
Nick's
Bengals
five.
tomorrow. Ooh,
Nick's,
I can't wait
dude,
to.
you guys don't understand, bro. Joe Burrow is about to be blanked out tomorrow.
There is a zero shot.
Joe's going to be shooting blanks tomorrow. Let me tell you, Joey Blanks, we're going to call him. Ain't nothing going to happen, Joe B.
That's funny.
Ain't going to
That's
happen.
funny.
Yeah,
That's not
I'm telling you right
happen.
now. The Raiders are rolling in hard. And Nick loves that
No.
coach,
Oh, yeah.
and so do I.
No.
That guy.
I don't think Derek
love
Carr's ever
that.
won a game below like 40 degrees.
Because his eyeliner starts to run. Fucking weirdo.
All right. Make sure
Yeah.
you like the stream, subscribe to the channel, ring a ding ding that Le'Veon bell, that notification bell, so you get notified when we go live. When we go live like this, when we post clips. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Aaron Donald trains with knives.
Ciao, ciao.